Good day, I'm Marina Kim, and these are the latest news from Kazakhstan. Revolt in the prison of Akmala region was subdued by internal troops. One died and more than 100 casualties were reported. Almaty metro construction workers launched a hunger strike demanding the employer to pay off the salary debts. Scandalous trial on the so-called Kazakh Gate case is being complete. James Giffen is charged with hiding the data on his bank accounts. In the Granitny village of Akmala region, relatives of convicts held at the colony 166/25 demand to visit the inmates to make sure they are alive after internal troops have subdued the revolt on Tuesday night. We got hold of one of the convicts' spouse, who along with other women guards the gates of the prison.
We know nothing about it. Hospitals keep silent, they don't tell us nothing, nothing is being done about it. We only know that there are 370 people here and at least 80 of them are hospitalized in critical condition. There is no information on them. We already called the prosecutor's office, OSCE and television. On Monday this week, inmates of the Akmala Regional Prison number 166/25 have conducted the Mall Self-Mutilation Act in protest of severe detention conditions. According to unofficial sources, around 250 convicts have cut their stomachs open. However, the Penitentiary Systems Committee representatives report about 100. One person killed during the storm of the building by the internal troops on Wednesday night, say the official sources. But according to Vadim Kuramshin, a human rights defender, 3 inmates died during the storm, one of whom has set up a fire on himself in protest, while the other 2 died as a result of self-mutilation. We got hold of Kuramshin over the phone and he told us the following.
This is a standard procedure if there is a bloodshed. Knackers and uniforms are only worsening the situation. There was no attacks on the colony administration or resistance. People were simply beaten dead.
Akmala Regional Internal Affairs Department had instigated 2 criminal cases upon the revolt of the colony 166/25 inmates. This was stated by the Kazakh General Prosecutor's Office representative Nurdaulet Suyndykov yesterday in Astana. 5 inmates of the prison are charged with organization of the revolt. According to Nurdaulet Suyndykov, 4 soldiers received minor casualties as a result of anti-revolt actions. No military weapon was employed during the storm, said the General Prosecutor's Office representatives, adding that mass inspections of the colonies across the country are underway.
Their demands were designedly groundless, illegitimate and impartial. Just like in other similar actions, the convicts demanded loosening the detention regime. The colony administration enforced those regulations which are common to such type of penitentiary centers.
Kazakh human rights experts call the revolt at Akmala 166/25 prison as a trend. During the current year, more than 10 large-scale conflicts were registered in the Kazakh penitentiary system. Amongst others, the absence of the Kazakh Penitentiary Systems Committee leadership and lack of human resources are called as main causes.
The situation with the rights of the convicts in the Kazakh prisons is worsening, say the human rights activists. Since summer, more than a dozen riots have taken place in the colonies. Some of the reasons are claimed to be the outflow of professional staff from the penitentiary system and unemployment among the convicts. As you can see, the chair of the committee and the deputies were not yet elected. This is an abandoned economy. I know that we have a lot of vacancies for these positions. The army units that have been brought to the colony 166/25 of the Granitny village of Akmala region is an emergency measure. Ardak Zhanabilova is confident that the bloodshed could have been avoided by reinforcing the security and decrease the influence of the active criminals. According to the public activists, the colony is overpopulated. 3 people for 1 bed and only 7 security officers are on duty for the shift. The prisoners are authorized to look over the order and even use physical punishments. These things result in abuse and discontent by the primary mass of the convicted. This is the negative side of the convicted when the hardened convicts say to the newcomers that they should earn an authority to themselves. This is when they start to resist, which means that they have stoned the prison staff. The human rights defenders are alarmed as the influence of the Committee on Monitoring Transparency of the Penitentiary System, which was created in 2003 by the International Prison Reforms, became worthless. However, Kazakhstan have took international obligations over the observance of human rights of convicted. However, the summer shows that the situation is developing in a different direction.
The situation in Akmala prison is being monitored by experts abroad. Alexei Baranovsky from Russia had told our reporter that Kazakh penitentiary system urgently needs effective reforms. Otherwise, the protests of convicts will not be stopped.
I believe we can overcome this crisis situation if not only the convicts will bear the liability for this. Obviously, the inmates have crossed the line at some point, but the revolt is already an extreme form of protest. However, the administration of the Kazakh prisons, where the protest actions are being held systematically lately, also not perfect, because we know that the revolt doesn't appear without a cause. There are indeed problems in there. It is an extraordinary situation when convicts go as far as cutting their stomachs open, especially when it is a mass act, which inmates can go only when they are too desperate and have no other choice.
No money, no metro. This was the slogan used by Almaty metro construction workers who launched the hunger strike action yesterday. 45 workers employed by South Korean Uranus CNA, subcontracted to lay the line between Almaly and Reinbek stations, demand the company to pay off the 3-month salary debt. The amount due is $140,000. First, the workers started striking on Monday. Next report has more.
Give us money, we're declaring a hunger strike. 45 construction workers of the Almaty Metro have organized a hunger strike on Thursday evening. The workers are demanding the company Uranus CNA to repay them salary debts for 3 months. The disorders among workers have started 3 days ago. Receiving no attention from the leadership of the country, the workers decided to organize a hunger strike. For 3 days we were striking and nothing happened. Now we will hunger strike and spend the night here. The head of the Kazakh branch of Uranus CNA, Mr. Kwon Kenjin, says that the company has no money. And this is despite the fact that back in February, the general contractor Almaty Metro Kurulus have made a prepayment to the South Korean partner of more than $800,000. Mr. Kwon refuses to answer the question concerning the finances by saying that the prosecution office is investigating the case. We're taking measures over all the actions and also demand to cover the debts by selling the private property. On Thursday, all the workers from Kintau were evicted from their apartments for non-payment. The desperate people have advanced an ultimatum by demanding to repay them the debts by 5 p.m. The workers have not received their money on time and organized the hunger strike. They are intended to hunger strike until the company pays them the money on the territory of the Almaly station. If they bring the money, we will leave this place. In the future, we will no longer work for this company. According to the representatives of the Almaty Interior Affairs Department, the hunger strikers have not made any illegal actions. In the evening, the representative of the contractor, the head of the state enterprise Metropolitan, Murat Ukshibayev, have arrived to the station. The negotiations with the workers are continuing.
3 participants of the oil workers' strike held in Zhanazhol village in western Kazakhstan again plead guilty in organization of unsanctioned rally. The Aktobe Regional Court failed to satisfy the cassation appeal. Judiciary system found the resolution of 2 previous instance courts illegitimate and found Karlybay Talybayev, Kusain Kulmuratov and Serik Bitikbayev guilty for organizing the rally. However, respondents do not agree with such definition and intend to appeal to international courts to prove their position right. They are sure that right after the court decision, the CNPC Corporation management will apply sanctions against them as well.
We organized the strike on 16th and now they claim we, 3 of us, are provokers. Yes, we indeed acted as orators during the meeting, but we have rights for self-expression and I said no one was charged for it yet. Then they concluded that we are the leaders of the strike committee.
The mass strike of oil workers was held in Zhanazhol deposit on June 16 this year. The very next day, the action was supported by workers from Kenkiyak minefield. Strikers demanded the improvement of work conditions, salary increase and dismissal of company's several top managers. After the meeting with the CNPC Aktobe gas management, workers have stopped their action. However, 2 days later, the company had filed lawsuits against its 3 employees, accusing them in organizing unsanctioned rally. Interestingly, in all official documentation of the regional management and the company's headquarters, the protest action was defined as scheduled staff meeting.
The trial over the so-called Kazakh Gate case is almost over. James Giffen's verdict is quite predictable, while other figurants of the case may have avoided the liability, say experts. Previous suspects are excluded, and the anticipated outcome of the trial may only hint on the mutually beneficial relations between Astana and Washington.
The name of the Kazakh president Nursultan Nazarbayev doesn't figure in the trial on the so-called Kazakh Gate case, which is being reviewed in the USA. However, the name of the Kazakhstan's leader was in the initial list of assumed bribe receivers, while the main suspect, James Giffen, charged with transferring $80 million bribe, had admitted that he forgot to indicate the offshore account in the tax declaration form. The Mercator company owned by the suspect is accused in an attempt to bribe President Nazarbayev and his spouse by presenting two snowmobiles in order to get the permission to access the Caspian oil reserves. Leader of the Kazakh Communist Party Kaziz Aldamzharov, who personally knows Giffen, concluded that this was set up between Astana and Washington. This is normal way for America. It creates such process, keep control over them, solve their problems. I'm afraid this will end up with allocating new deposits under special beneficial to them conditions. The scandal called by media as Kazakh Gate has lasted for 10 years, and when it is going to be over, leader of Kazakh Communist Aldamzharov feels disappointed, saying with upcoming verdict USA will contradict its own democratic principles. Kazakh people have lost more than $200 million. As agreed, only $84 million will be returned through the Bota Foundation, which then will spend on education and charity projects under the public control. I feel sorry about initial $300 million. This is all talks about that my country is a country of snatchers, and it is sad to realize most of the leaders of this country, which I love so much, are involved in corruption. And even more sadly, the corruption is not far off, and as long as you possess a lot of money and energy resources, you can always be amnestied. Yet there is another nuance, says Aldamzharov. He suggests that avoidance of the verdict by President Nazarbayev allows the investigation to be renewed at any time. Thus, USA may use this moment to pressure the President Nazarbayev. What independence and modernity can we talk about, says leader of Kazakh Communists.
A famous lawyer, Sergei Utkin, was taken under the police persecution. Such message appeared on the internet portal of the Respublika newspaper yesterday.
In his message, the anonymous author warned that telephones of Sergei Utkin and his relatives are being wiretapped, and eventually he will be tailed. Moreover, the lawyer was advised to avoid attending picnics with obscurity, as there might be provocations. This is related with professional activities of the lawyer. Utkin, however, says he doesn't really feel being manhunted and took the message with certain irony. He thinks it is pointless for police to launch a persecution on lawyers.
Neither police nor the prosecutor never actually approached me with such conversations so that I wouldn't defend, for example, Respublika newspaper, or when I once defended Ablazov. No one really cared.
Kazakh General Prosecutor's Office had refuted information about inquiring Kyrgyz authorities to extradite the Kyrgyz oppositionist Urmat Baryktabasov. According to Nurdaulet Suyendikov, Baryktabasov has been denationalized. His Kazakh passport, which was obtained illegally, was confiscated during his recent detention. As a result, Baryktabasov's Kazakh citizenship was annulled. Earlier this week, Kyrgyz Internal Affairs Ministry stated that Kazakh authorities have inquired extradition of Baryktabasov. Next report has updates.
Kazakhstan has not inquired extradition of Urmat Baryktabasov. Kyrgyz Internal Affairs Ministry had reported earlier that it got such request from Kazakhstan. Businessman and politician Baryktabasov is charged with felonies committed on the territory of both countries. In particular, Kyrgyz authorities accuse him in attempting to overthrow and seizure of power twice. According to Kazakh law enforcement bodies, Baryktabasov, who owned Astana Energo Service Company, is charged with embezzlement of several million US dollars. In case the investigation will establish the ground for extradition, then corresponding inquiries will be sent to Kyrgyzstan. This issue is undertaken by Financial Police and Kazakh General Prosecutor's Office. So far, there is no such ground. Nevertheless, the General Prosecutor's Office representative said that Urmat Baryktabasov will not avoid the charges in Kazakhstan as the Financial Police continues investigation on the criminal case of embezzlement. It is yet unknown which country the trial will be held in. This issue is being coordinated by the General Prosecutor's Office, which suggested that another criminal case may be instigated against Baryktabasov.
This is all for now. See you tomorrow.